So picture this scenario for a second, like really visualize it.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
It's 2:14 p.m. on a Tuesday. Let's say you're in Anaheim. You are a master electrician, and you are elbow deep in this completely massive, complex panel job.
Oh, man. The worst time for the phone to ring.
Exactly. Your hands are full, your focus is absolute. But suddenly, a call comes into your main office. It's a commercial property manager with an emergency.
Right.
And the ticket value on this job is easily around, $7,200.
That is a massive call to get on a Tuesday afternoon.
It's huge. But back at the office, your dispatcher is completely swamped. They're already juggling like 3 other active lines. So the call goes to voicemail.
Yep. And we all know how this ends.
We do. By the time someone is finally free to call that property manager back, it is just too late. They've already scrolled down their vendor list and they book a competitor.
Yeah, your truck is literally sitting in the wrong neighborhood, and that $7,200 just totally evaporated.
It hurts to even think about. But welcome to today's deep dive, because we're going to show you how to stop that revenue from just evaporating.
It is a brutal scenario, but the crazy part is it plays out thousands of times a day. Not just for electricians, but across basically every service industry you can think of.
Which is exactly what our mission is today. We are pulling from this really fascinating 2026 blog post from Service Agent, and it looks at the ultimate showdown for answering services, basically AI versus human, in 2026.
It's a really great piece of research.
It is. But we're looking at this not just as like some niche issue for people pulling wire or fixing panels.
Right.
This is an absolute masterclass in operational efficiency for literally any business owner or consultant or freelancer who's listening right now.
Oh, totally, because everyone deals with missed calls.
Exactly. So we are going to examine why your business might be bleeding money to voicemail, the 3 primary models of answering services available right now, and the very specific tech features you need to actually plug those leaks.
I love that.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I think to fix a problem, we first have to understand the sheer scale of the structural flaw here.
That is actually the perfect term for it, a structural flaw. Because missing a call isn't just, a minor administrative hiccup or someone having a bad day at the desk.
Right.
When you look at the raw data from the text, electricians are missing between 25 and 40% of their inbound calls.
Wait, 40%?
Up to 40%. I mean, up to 4 out of every 10 potential jobs are just gone before they even start.
The math on that is literally terrifying. I mean, if an average residential ticket is, say, $850,
Yeah.
and commercial emergency tickets start at $5,000 and just go way up from there,
Yeah.
a standard 12-truck operation is leaking over $150,000 a year.
It's staggering.
Simply by letting the phone ring through to voicemail. It's like a leaky bucket, right?
Yeah.
You see business owners spending massive amounts of money pouring water in the top.
Oh, yeah. Turning on the fire hose of marketing spend.
Exactly. Buying ads, doing SEO, desperately trying to acquire new leads. But they don't realize the absolute highest return on investment comes from simply plugging the holes at the bottom.
Just answering the leads you already paid for.
Right.
It's the ultimate blind spot. And to understand why those calls are missed, we really have to look at the predictable rhythm to all this chaos.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, the service industry is fundamentally built around calls coming at the absolute worst possible times. If you track the call volume patterns, the text highlights 5 distinct moments where this massive leak happens.
And these probably apply to so many other industries too. What's the first one?
First, you have your after-hours emergencies. These are the sparking outlets, the dead panels on a Saturday night.
It's really scary stuff.
Exactly. And more than 70% of these callers will just immediately hang up on a voicemail. They don't leave a message, they just call a 247 competitor.
Which, I mean, makes total sense. If my house is potentially catching fire, I am in an absolute panic.
Right. You want a human on the phone immediately.
Yeah, I am not leaving a polite little message and hoping someone gets back to me by 9 a.m. on Monday. I need someone right now.
And that urgency isn't just limited to the middle of the night. The second pattern is what's known as the lunch rush.
Oh, I bet that's a mess.
It is. Between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. is notoriously the busiest inbound window for residential service.
Because homeowners are on their lunch break.
Exactly. They're trying to cross chores off their list. But the problem is, your human dispatcher is also human. They might be taking their own lunch, or they're just getting completely overflowed because everyone in the city decided to call at exactly 12:15 p.m.
That bottleneck Definitely applies to anyone listening. Like whether you are a lawyer or a graphic designer, your clients are calling you when they have free time.
Which usually aligns perfectly with when you are trying to step away from your own desk.
Exactly. Okay, so what's the third pattern?
The third pattern is the high-stakes commercial callers. Think back to that property manager in Anaheim. A commercial client basically expects a 30-minute response time.
Wow, 30 minutes.
Yeah. So if they call while your dispatcher is, mid-sentence with another customer and they get placed on hold, they don't wait. They have angry tenants yelling at them. They just move to the next name on their preferred vendor list.
So they're gone instantly. And what about demographic changes? Because the data in the post points out a massive language barrier that's costing businesses a fortune.
Yeah, that is the fourth pattern. In major markets, we're talking California, Texas, Florida, Arizona, New Mexico, 15 to 35% of the residential customer base prefers to speak Spanish.
That is a huge chunk of the market.
It is, and if you have an English-only dispatcher, you lose those leads the very second they hit that language barrier. It's just an instant disconnect.
You're just cutting off a massive segment of your market at the knees because of communication gap.
It really is wild. And the fifth pattern, honestly, might be the most painful one to hear about. Quote, follow-ups.
Oh no, so you've already done the work.
You've already done the hard work. You went out, you diagnosed the issue, you sent the quote, and the customer calls back to ask one quick question before approving a major project.
And they hit voicemail.
They hit voicemail, and the data shows that the deal cools by 30 to 50% per day until you reach them again.
Wait, 30 to 50% per day. Let's pause on that because that is so crucial.
It's brutal.
It applies to every single consultant or freelancer listening right now. If someone calls you to accept a proposal or even just ask a final clarifying question and they hit your voicemail, their buyer's remorse clock starts ticking instantly.
Yes, exactly.
You are losing 30 to 50% of your closing momentum every single day you play phone tag.
Because what's fascinating here is the phone is quite literally where the work begins. Missing that initial connection is where the work entirely ends.
So if we've established that missing calls is this six-figure structural flaw, the immediate question for a business owner isn't should we answer the phone? It's how do we afford to do it 24 hours a day?
Right, which brings us to the solutions.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Because the landscape of who or what is answering these calls in 2026 has shifted so dramatically. There are three main contenders outlined in the text: AI, human-staffed, and hybrid solutions.
Let's lay out the parameters and the economics of each one, starting with the AI voice agent.
Okay.
This is a 247 automated option, and it generally runs a flat rate of $200 to $600 a month.
That's pretty reasonable.
It is, and the critical advantage here is that it handles unlimited concurrent calls. It doesn't matter if 10 people call at exactly 12:15 p.m., every single one gets answered on the very first ring.
That solves the lunch rush right there. Then you have the traditional human-staffed outsourced call centers. And the post says these run anywhere from $300 to $1,500 a month as a base, plus per-minute fees, which range from $1 to $2.50.
Yep, those minute fees can really add up.
For sure. And finally, the hybrid model. This uses an 80-20 rule, combining AI to handle the bulk of the routine volume and automatically routing the tricky edge cases to actual humans. That one runs between $500 and $1,200 a month.
Which is a really interesting middle ground.
Now, hold on. I have to push back on this AI option pretty hard for a second.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's go back to that homeowner on a Sunday morning. I literally have sparks flying out of my living room wall. I am terrified. Am I not going to be absolutely furious if I call for emergency help and I have to navigate some robotic phone tree?
The classic phone tree.
Right, like press 1 for sparks, press 2 for smoke. I mean, that sounds like a total customer service nightmare when tensions are that high.
And you know what? That is the exact assumption that held automation back for years. And honestly, if we were talking about the robotic press 1 systems of the early 2010s, you would be entirely correct.
Right, those are awful.
But the distinction in 2026 is that modern voice AI is virtually indistinguishable from a live person on these types of calls. We're talking about conversational AI that uses natural speech patterns and human-like timing. You don't press buttons, you just talk to it.
Okay, I get that it might sound human, but what if the homeowner's panicking? What if they are talking really fast or interrupting the AI or just rambling? Does the system just get stuck in a loop of, sorry, I didn't catch that?
No, actually, that is where the underlying technology really shines. It doesn't just passively listen to a recording. It actively runs a triage protocol.
What does that mean in practice?
It means it instantly recognizes keywords like sparks flying, it understands the severe context of those words, and it immediately routes that real emergency to the on-call electrician. And it does this all while maintaining a calm conversational tone with the homeowner, even if they interrupt.
Oh, wow. Which means it's actually providing a better, faster, and calmer response
Mhm.
than a stressed-out human dispatcher might if they were, simultaneously dealing with three other lines.
In high volume, high stress situations, yes. And when you look at the brutal math of the cost per call, the landscape just becomes undeniable.
Okay, break down the math for me.
With AI, you are looking at 30 to 50 cents per call at unlimited volume. Human call center services are costing you $1 to $4 per call.
Okay, quite a jump.
But here's the real kicker. If you hire an in-house dispatcher who is only covering you from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., that is costing you between $5 and $10 per call once you factor in their fully loaded salary, their benefits, and their downtime.
$5 to $10 a call, that is a staggering difference. I mean, for a 12-truck residential shop, an in-house dispatcher is costing north of $20,000 a month.
Easy.
And they still lock the doors and go home at 5 p.m. Meanwhile, the AI option is $200 for 247 unlimited concurrent coverage.
I
I
mean,
mean, the math is really hard to ignore there.
it is, but we have to be careful not to assume the cheapest option is universally the best one.
Fair point.
The right solution has to map to the specific type of business. AI absolutely dominates in residential work because it's a high-volume environment, and the problems are generally repeatable.
Like the sparking outlets, dead panels, flickering lights.
Exactly. Those follow predictable workflows. However, human-staffed services still win in high-stakes commercial environments.
Which makes sense. I mean, if that commercial property manager in Anaheim is calling, and that single call might evolve into a $50,000 project bid, there's a lot more negotiation, nuance, and relationship building happening in the first 30 seconds.
Exactly. You want a human managing that.
Yeah, you don't want to risk it.
And that's why the hybrid model is the fastest growing category for mixed mode shops. You let the AI sweep up the hundreds of routine residential inquiries and schedule them efficiently. But the system is smart enough that when a commercial project manager calls in, it immediately escalates that specific call to a human account manager.
So we have these three categories. But just buying an AI or human service off the shelf isn't enough, right? It has to actually plug into the business.
Right. Integration is everything.
I was liken this to hiring an executive assistant. If you hire a brilliant assistant, but you don't give them access to your digital calendar, and all they do is leave a pile of sticky notes on your desk every morning.
They haven't actually solved your problem.
Exactly. They've just changed the shape of the mess you have to clean up.
That's a great way to look at it. If an answering service just emails you a summary of the call, it is completely useless in a fast-paced environment.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do with an email?
Exactly. Your dispatcher still has to open that email, manually type all the customer's information into your scheduling system, call the customer back to confirm the time, and then manually assign the technician.
You haven't saved any time at all. You've actually added administrative steps.
Which brings us to the technological requirements from the text. The research mandates a very specific set of 7 features that any service must have to actually be effective.
Okay, let's go through them. What's the first one?
First and foremost is native integration.
What does that actually mean under the hood?
It means the AI uses an API, an application programming interface, to talk directly to the software you already use to run your business. Platforms like ServiceTitan, Jobber, HouseCall Pro, or BuildOps.
So the central nervous system for trades.
Yes. Native integration means the AI takes the call, qualifies the lead, and writes the appointment directly into the dispatcher's calendar in real time, just like an in-house employee would. No manual data entry required.
That is huge. Okay, second, the system needs trade-specific vocabulary, and this is vital. Like, if a customer calls saying they need a GFCI replaced, which, is one of those outlets with the reset buttons you see in bathrooms, or they have an issue with knob and tube wiring.
Right, that outdated, highly hazardous electrical setup you find in historic homes.
Exactly. A generic answering service is going to just stall out. They won't know how to categorize the risk of knob and tube versus a standard breaker. The AI must understand the specific, highly technical language of the trade.
And that flows directly into the third feature, which is honestly the most critical Emergency triage logic.
Right, the ER nurse analogy.
Yes, the AI isn't just a receptionist taking messages. Think of it more like an ER triage nurse. It doesn't just listen passively, it is actively hunting for key symptoms.
So it's analyzing the risk in real time.
It has to algorithmically parse the difference between a sparking outlet, which means it needs to bypass the schedule and wake up the on-call electrician immediately, versus a flickering bedroom outlet, which the AI knows can be safely scheduled for the next available slot on Tuesday.
And the complexity doesn't stop there. So fourth, once the triage is the emergency, it has to follow dispatch rules. This is crucial for both compliance and efficiency.
Oh, absolutely.
The system must respect licensing. For example, it needs to know not to send a first-year apprentice to do a complex commercial sub-panel upgrade.
Right.
Or it knows to only route electric vehicle charger installations to technicians who carry that specific EV certification.
Which is where that operational intelligence comes in.
And the fifth mandate.
The Spanish language support we mentioned earlier, which is just table stakes in many markets now.
Yeah,
You start to see how powerful this is when you combine all these things.
definitely. Number 6 is the requirement of after-hours parity, meaning the caller who dials in at 9 p.m. on a Saturday has to get the exact same depth of qualification and triage as someone calling at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yes, there can be no overnight leap mode. If your AI just defaults to saying, the office is closed, please leave a message at night, you lose all of that emergency revenue to the competitor who actually answers the phone.
All right, you're back to the original problem. And finally, number 7, the system needs escalation rules. It has to know its own boundaries. It needs to know exactly when to hand off a distressed caller or a complex commercial negotiation to a real human being.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we are really talking about is extending a company's operational intelligence to the absolute edge of their customer interactions.
That's a great way to put it.
You are taking your best practices, your strict routing logic, your safety protocols, and your scheduling rules, and you are pushing them right up to the very first point of contact 24 hours a day in multiple languages.
Okay, so that sounds incredible in theory.
Yeah.
But what does this actually mean for the person running the business? Like, how do you deploy a system this complex without accidentally alienating your existing customer base or completely breaking your current workflow?
It requires a highly structured rollout. You cannot just turn this on, walk away, and hope for the best. Automation without testing is just making mistakes at light speed.
Well said. And the research outlines a very specific 2-week implementation timeline. So days 1 and 2 are purely about platform connection, getting the AI communicating flawlessly with your service titan or jobber via API.
Yep.
Days 3 through 5 involve uploading your specific scripts, your dispatch rules, and those triage protocols we just discussed. Days 6 through 9 are dedicated to shadow mode testing. Days 10 through 12, you dip your toe in by forwarding only the after-hours and lunch rush calls. And finally, on day 13, you go live 24/7.
That's the ideal schedule.
Now, let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
If this technology is as brilliant as we just established, why am I spending 9 whole days testing and running in shadow mode? Why can't I just plug my scheduling software in, flip the switch on day 1, and, go to the beach while the AI makes me money?
This raises an important question, but the answer is because the potential failure modes in those early days are incredibly expensive.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. The research sternly warns against skipping the shadow mode phase. Imagine this scenario. You launch 2047 on day 1 without rigorous testing. There is a tiny flaw, just a contradiction in your qualification script regarding how to handle commercial emergencies.
Okay.
The AI might confidently misroute a full weekend of high-paying jobs. It might tell every property manager with a sparking panel that someone will call them on Monday morning.
Oh, wow. So you could lose thousands and thousands of dollars completely blind before you even open your laptop on Monday to notice the error.
It would be a total disaster. You have to actively try to break the system before you let it touch a single real customer.
So how do you do that?
During shadow mode, you have to call the test line yourself. You need to pretend to be a panicked, Spanish-speaking homeowner with a sparking outlet on a Saturday night. You need to act like an impatient commercial property manager demanding immediate service. You test every single failure mode to ensure it triages perfectly under pressure.
It's essentially like training a brand new employee. I mean, you wouldn't just hire a new dispatcher off the street, hand them the keys to the office, and leave for a week.
Exactly.
You sit with them, you listen to their calls, you course correct when they say the wrong thing. You have to do the exact same thing with an AI.
Exactly, because automation doesn't mean abdication. You are still ultimately responsible for the outcome of that customer interaction.
Which brings us back to you listening to this right now. Even if you aren't an electrician, even if you have never looked at a subpanel or a GFCI outlet in your entire life, I want you to reflect on your own work. Think about your consulting practice or your own business.
Think about the leaks.
Yeah. Where are the lunch rush or after hours leaps in your industry's communication? How many proposals are cooling off, or how many opportunities are slipping through the cracks right now simply because your human bandwidth isn't there at the exact moment the customer decides they need you?
Every single industry has its own version of that missed 2.14 p.m. call from Anaheim. Every single one.
They absolutely do. What we've seen today is that the choice between AI, human, or hybrid really comes down to analyzing your specific call volume, the stakes of those individual calls, and ensuring deep native integration into your workflow.
And when you get it right, the return on investment of plugging a $150,000 leak can literally be realized in the very first month of operation.
It transforms a massive point of failure into a distinct competitive advantage.
Absolutely.
But I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, something that builds on everything we've discussed today. If an AI voice agent in 2026 is smart enough to perfectly triage a sparking outlet fluently in 2 languages and book the right certified technician into your calendar while you are fast asleep,
Yeah.
what happens when you give that exact same AI permission to start making outbound calls? What happens when it starts automatically calling your past customers to schedule preventative maintenance or checking in on old warranties before their outlets ever even start sparking? Are we just talking about answering services anymore, or are we witnessing the birth of fully automated, autonomous sales forces that never sleep?
That is a wild thought.
Something to think about the next time you let a call go to voicemail. Keep plugging those leaks. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.